All right, good morning, for me at least. This is a real short video just about how to get to your digital notebook and kind of my expectations of use for this notebook. So there's two directions, right, to get everything. You can either go into your Google Classroom. So if I was here, and I'll use sixth period as an example, I go into classwork, I find my week at a glance, and then if you look at attachment 4, or I can do this through the weekly agenda itself, but attachment 4 in this will take you directly to it as well. So right here, my computer's a little slow, but that will load a digital notebook. There we go. Or I can come over to the Google site, which hopefully you have bookmarked, go under the Notes tab. In your Notes tab, just so you know, there's several things in here. There's Cornell note-taking methods, a TED Talk sheet that we'll use for TED Talks, and how to kind of learn and take notes on anatomical terms. The one I'm talking about right now is this digital notebook. And you'll see some other pieces of information here. The other thing I've put under here, but it's in the caret, are your coloring packets. These coloring packets are going to be good even though they don't match either the old textbook or the new textbook. They're geared towards specific learning targets for a chapter. We're going to go ahead and use the chapter 1 coloring packet from last year since we're still waiting access. But that one's here. And then you open the coloring packet here. And then there's some things you can print. Now, and practice. None of this has been assigned yet. I just wanted you to know where it is located because this would have to be printed and then to be able to be used. Let me know if you have any difficulties with printing before we get to these documents, which will be week 4. All right, back to the notes page. And these study guides also go with your old book. I'm leaving all of this up until I know that we're going to get access to our new book. Notes. And digital notebook should pull up the exact same document as your weekly agenda would in your classroom. Right, so there we go. So when we get our book, it will look like this. I'm going to go ahead and open this in Google Slides. I'm going to go back to my website. All right, so what you want to do is make a copy of this and rename it. This is one that I've already renamed. So you'd put your last name and then your first name and then digital notebook. So do that for yourself and then share them with me. If you go down to the next slide, you're going to see all the different units. Again, these all match the new textbook that's coming. So Unit 1, Levels of Organization, Unit 2, Support and Movement, etc. And then I added some tabs for the case studies. So case studies are embedded in each chapter, but when we do notes in them, we'll go ahead and put them over here in your career corner. There's another section in every chapter called Diseases, Diagnosis, and Treatments. All of that. I highly recommend using this for copying and pasting diagrams and different things that you just want to study and mark up versus handwriting things that you read in a regular notebook. So I would get one of those 4 for $1 regular notebooks to use to actually write in as you read chapters and use this for copying and pasting diagrams and images to help you remember and review. So as I go through this, though, I have table of contents. The purpose is to help you organize your learning. So use this for putting information into and being able to have a record of it. And yes, it will be checked periodically, probably every 6 weeks. You get a score for it right before progress reports. We're not going to worry so much about these logos. I left these logos on here But I may or may not, these are not the same science practices that you need for anatomy and physiology as an elective. They're all important, but they're not a required component of this course. All right, Unit 1, level of organization. So you would, one of your first headings is your introduction, and you could copy and paste in information you want to read and or remember in here. I recommend, though, using this for images. So research has shown over and over that handwriting your notes is going to help you remember it, and even if you don't go back to it, just the writing of it itself. And you need visuals for your brain to start to process and understand. So what I would be pasting into here, for example, I might go up here, and I'm a big Google fan, but let's say I was struggling with body cavities. And you could do this instead of Google, you could actually be taking it from your textbook when we get it, or you can take it from my PowerPoints. I have tons of images in the PowerPoints. And I would pick one of these. Let's say this, I know this is one that I use in one of my PowerPoints. And I would paste that in here and maybe title it body cavities. And make it as big or as little as I need depending upon the size of my screen I have, so I can actually use it as the study tool. And then I would insert my text box in here, remind myself of what these actually are. They're body cavities. And maybe notes in them, right? So that cranial cavity has your brain, the spinal cavity has your spinal cord, kind of the things that we'll go over in the chapter, then some details. So that's kind of the general purpose of these slides in this notebook, a way to organize all of it, and for me to check on how you're doing with the information. So you can't really click to it until you go to present. So on present, these are your units, which have several chapters embedded in them. For example, one of your first case studies is on prosthetics. So I should be able to click in here and then click through and see your first one, which is surgically implanted prosthetics. So that would be in this area. And again, you can do a lot of copy and pasting if you want to scan your actual handwriting, things like that. But I want to see some organization to your work. And your career corners will go in here, and your disease and diagnoses, and you click here. But when you actually want to add to it, you have to escape out, right? And then do this, and then type it. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, please let me know. Ask questions during live class. This is just going to be a way for us to organize our information and for me to go to one location and look at it. But as much as possible, try to handwrite things when you're trying to learn them. So this, again, this notebook is for going back to look at and review quickly before like assessments or refer to during a test. But when you're trying to learn it for the first time and you're reading your chapter, you really want to be handwriting it. That's it. Your digital notebook.